equipment. But if something comes up second hand that's now over 145 horsepower requirement, oh, could pull that up there. If I vehicles, this one is 183 horsepower. The Valtra is 280, so I've now got an extra 100 horsepower that I can use to do stuff. Now, obviously I don't have anything that big. My biggest piece of equipment is less than 180 horsepower, but we now have the option. And I'm not going to take advantage of it right away because I can't afford that general size of equipment. But we'll see where we get to now. I could get a 6 meter. That's the thing. I could now afford a 6 meter cultivator, but only the Valtra would be able to haul it. So that's kind of a limitation on who can do what work. But this tractor's a good backup so long as we don't have too much equipment over 200 horsepower. Yeah, it just transpires that the Valtra has to do the heavy job and this tractor can do the other job. If we're not cultivating, then technically either tractor could do any job for now. So what else has happened this week? So this week I did order some more couplings for the model railway and also another decoder for one of my engines. So the decoder arrived. I could not get it programmed in the engine it was intended for. I could get it programmed in one of the engines that already has a decoder in it. So I programmed that up, at which point that engine decided it wasn't going to work anymore. Put the new decoder in the other locomotive that it was planned for. And it worked, but wasn't creating any sound. And it took me about a day and a half to realise, well, actually, you need to put the speaker in the locomotive as well as the decoder. So I added the speaker in. That locomotive now works, but the one that was the first locomotive I chipped I put a decoder in, now isn't working for some reason. I don't know if it's the decoder is bad or the locomotive is having issues. And I drove way too close to that wall. So I haven't had enough time to mess around and see what needs to be done. So that's a problem. One of the other locomotives I have is shorting out, which is unfortunate. I now have two circles are done. There is electrical power to the entirety of the two circuits. I did have to take up the track in two places and relay it to get it so that stuff didn't come off. Which is, I mean, it's not ideal, but to lift track and relay it actually doesn't take that long because it's been sitting in place for up to a month or two in some points. It does mean that if you pull it up, it holds its its radius. So not a problem there. So literally it was take up the track, make some adjustments, relay it, and yeah, that was an hour's task. And then leave it for 8 hours for the glue to cure, and it's all done. It's all up and running. So that was good. I also managed to fix a rake of 6 passenger cars, which I took them down to the club model railway and figured I'd get them to run round just to make sure they were working, and they were derailing everywhere. Pain in the butt. The couplings between them is just a plastic bar. So you plug it into one car, you plug it into the other car, and they're fixed. And there's 6 of them. And you can't stick it on the track and just push them together. You have to hold the receiver and the bar and push them together. Well, there's 6 cars. How do you turn 6 cars over when they're upside down while you're coupling them together? How do you turn them all over in one block unit? You need 3 hands. So they were a pain in the butt to get on and off the tracks. I did manage it, but as I said, they kept derailing. So I put them back in the box, haven't looked at them since then. But I got one out to test the coherency of my electrical work. I was attaching wires to the track. I would then crawl underneath the table. I would touch the wires with the battery and have one of these passenger cars on the track above, because they have lights in. I'd have Mrs. Osa sit there and tell me when the lights came on. So that's how I knew where I had some bad connections and could resolder the wires. And I had that one car out. Well, while I had it out, I did notice when I pushed it around it would derail, and I thought, yeah, that's the problem we already knew about. But I happened to be sitting there and I played with the trucks on the underside of the carriage, and one of them was really stiff. So I thought, I'm not sure they've been put together right, because for some reason the spring is underneath the truck instead of above it. Most places you will have a spring on top, so it gives the car a modicum of suspension. But for this one, the spring was on the bottom, so sort of okay. But because it was I loosened it off. Actually, I took it off to see if I could put the spring on top, on top of the truck. And yeah, that wasn't going to work. So it's okay, fine. But I screwed the truck back on the car, and it was very easy to turn because I didn't over tighten the screw. So sort of, that's interesting. So on Friday, I think it was. Yeah, on Friday, I took all of the cars out of their boxes and checked the screws on the trucks. They were, at least one truck on every single car was way too tight. So I loosened them all off and stuck them behind the newly chipped locomotive, and they all worked. Not a problem. They're not coming off the track anymore. So apparently that's the fix. I've seen people saying, oh, the way to fix this is to file off some of the underframe of the passenger car, and I thought that kind of sucks. But yeah, just in my case, just loosen off the truck so then they're not too tight, and everything worked. So that's a bonus. So I now have a passenger train with lights, which looks a little bit empty because it doesn't have people on board. So I should take the roofs off and put some people in them, and then it will look better. Okay, we're up to 70,000. So we shipped 60-ish. And I have a ton of seed. I've got way more seed than I need. I've also got a few bags of solid fertilizer, which goes in the planter. So that'll give me, that'll give me first stage planting. That's the thing. We bought this field up at the top here. This one. And this one is already fully fertilized. Don't know how they managed that, but what's here? We have a nice seed bed. No. Stubble tillage. So we have stubble tillage here. This field has been cultivated. So that field's been cultivated. Aside from that, there's nothing else going on there. So we'll add those back in. And then on the next one, these fields need to be rolled. They have been mulched. And this field is fully fertilized. And that's it. So my fields don't need to be ploughed. This one, there we go, doesn't need to be ploughed either. I seem to be having issues with reactions there when I push the button. So I don't want to be planting this field with fertilizer in the tanks, which means I'm going to have to manually plant that one, because the worker doesn't work unless you have fertilizer in the seeder. That's okay. I can do one field at least. So we're up to 80,000. This will put us on 96. And we still have another 60. We can't have another 60,000. No. We got another 50,000 money worth of sorghum to sell. Now, the other thing that gave me a bit of money here, that field on the left was full of the one that's cultivated. This one here, that had a crop of sugar beets in. I did not do the sugar beet harvest. No. But it then needed cultivating. So I got out there and did the cultivating contract, which paid a good amount of money. Which meant I could then afford to buy the Valtra, just. And it's It's not a stock Valtra, but it is a fitted with the options. Yeah, I didn't pay to optionally change anything. So I think it's standard wheels. It does have a skylight. It does have panoramic view, and it does have the massive window on the right side as opposed to a door. Other than that, it's stock, as far as I'm aware. Now, the other thing I noticed is there are no small New Hollands anymore. The smallest New Holland is this one here, the T7. And I think generally the same is true. These two tractors are the same price. So I'm assuming this is the red version of the blue one. But there's this one. I can't find a use for that. But there are no other small New Hollands, which is a shame because this is a New Holland dealership. Now, we also got this tractor this morning. Was added to the mod hub as part of the FarmCon 25 new stuff. I'm guessing it's like other Lindners, is a four-wheel steer tractor. It has 144 horsepower, which is quite nice. It only costs 125,000. You can put a front loader on it. And you can go with wide, narrow, rear narrow twins all round, rear twins all round, and standard. And the usual. But nice looking tractor, limited horsepower. But yeah. It's now available on the mod hub as of this morning. We just sold stuff, so let's get back to the farm again. Not that I'm planning to buy a Lindner for the farm, but you never know. If one came up, that might end up as an option. I think I'm fine enough with the Arian 500, though, that we already have. It's kind of like thinking way back when, Lawfolds. Most of our tractors were in the 390 horsepower range for the main field work, planting, ploughing, cultivating, etc. I think I had a fast track JCB 4000 series for hauling stuff. I did have a Valtra T. I want to say that had a front loader. I used that for logging purposes. And then I just had a Massey Ferguson 5 series, which pretty much permanently carried the spraying equipment on the back, except when it was time to do mowing, and then I could use that on the tedder or windrower. But no, I didn't use a windrower. I only needed a windrow when I was tedding. If I was making silage bales, that was just a straight mow it into rows. Okay, 54. Let's take us down to 50, 40. So there's 2 more full loads after this one. Now, the other thing to look at is there is a field here that I can now afford. There is a field here I might have enough money to afford. There is a field over there which I could also afford. Oh, that's a grass field though. That's ready to harvest. So I could buy this one and have a lot of money left over, or this one and have not a lot of money left over. As I said before, I've got enough seed to plant sorghum everywhere. Because it's a really low density plant. So I'm planning to plant sorghum again this year. Don't have enough silos everywhere. Oh, there's that field on the left. I could rip up the grass and replant that with a crop. Oh, there's a gate there. Yeah, there's a gate there into it, which is also a double gate. No, that's a single. It's interesting. So what do we have out here? To get in the field on the right, we've got that gate right after the farmland with the honey bees, but there's also a gate here. Is that a double? That's a double. That's a double. So it's possible I could look at that grass field, turn it arable, and the additional gates on these top fields could give me access to it with bigger, harvester-like equipment. Two more trips. We'll be done making money, although this has taken me almost an hour. But making money's good. We like making money so we can spend it on other things for the farm. I honestly can't remember if... I think the year number starts on January. I just can't remember if it starts in August or if it starts in January. How long have we been going? we've already been through one winter, so I'm thinking year 3 starts in August. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I never pay attention to it, but then I look and it's kind of, when did that happen? This is our second winter. It's not snowing yet, so that's a good thing. I think there was some snow either November 3 or 4, but it didn't really settle. It was just snowing. Also have enough money to fix up the Valtra, which is, before I use it, that's something I'm going to want to do. I guess. I mean, one of the things to consider is, if I fix up the Valtra, I can then use the Valtra on contracts or free up this tractor for contracts. So it is beneficial to have a third tractor running. At the moment, it's sitting in the workshop because it's in a really poor condition. So I don't want it, and it costs more to run, obviously, than the tractors we already have. That's kind of the risk of these things, is you buy a bigger tractor, it costs more to run. So yeah, so this is a big giant window, and then oh no, servicing is good, and then yeah, it has inside. It has the big panoramic window back there for some reason, because it doesn't have the steering back there.